joining us today. I must say that was a great intro. My personal favorite was the dog with the tie. That was just my personal favorite. Welcome everyone to the Better Choice Company webinar. Joining us today from the company are Charlotte Cook, Chief Financial Officer, Donald Young, EVP of Sales, and Rob Sauerman, EVP of Strategy. We're going to be covering a lot of really interesting topics today with the team. At the conclusion, we'll leave some time for answers to your questions. Before we begin, I'm going to quickly review the company's safe harbor statement. Listeners are reminded that certain matters discussed in today's conference call or answers that may be given to questions asked could constitute forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties related to Better Choice Company's future financial and business performance. Actual results could differ materially from those anticipated in these forward-looking statements. The risk factors that may affect results are detailed in Better Choice Company's MD&A filings and other documents that may be accessed via this SEC website. As I mentioned, we'll leave some time for Q&A. Please feel free to submit your questions via the chat function throughout today's webinar. After covering a few important topics, we'll do our best to get to each of your questions within the time frame allotted for today's call. Please know this call is being recorded Friday, December 10th, 2021. With that, I'd like to give the opportunity for each Better Choice team member to introduce themselves. I'd love to start with Charlotte, our CFO.
Thanks, Walter. As Walter mentioned, my name is Charlotte Cook. I am the CFO here at Better Choice. A quick background, I've been with the company since April of 2020 and have had a really great opportunity to be a part of some transformational and exciting growth here at the company. Prior to joining, I spent time in various industries from technology to healthcare to QSR in various aspects of finance and accounting. So very excited to be here today with you.
Great. Donald?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Donald Young. I've been in the pet specialty industry now for 30 years. I was the VP of Sales at Nutro and Merrick Pet Care, and I was part of the team that Nutro that we grew from 20 million in sales in 92 to over 800 million when we were acquired by Mars Pet Care. I joined the Merrick team in 2011. Our business was approximately 50 million in dog and cat food sales, and in just a short 7.5 years later, we grew to over 500 million as we were acquired by Nestle Purina. I joined the Better Choice team this year in January, and the reason I joined this company was because of our CEO, Scott Lerner. I absolutely believed in Scott's vision and mission for our company, and I believe we could absolutely transform our company into the most innovative premium pet food company in the world. I'm extremely excited to be here today.
Thank you. Rob?
Awesome. Thanks, Walter. So my name is Rob Sauerman. I'm the EVP of Strategy at Better Choice. I've been involved sort of with Better Choice and Halo since all the way back in 2017. My original involvement was really on the private equity side. My background is primarily in the financial sector. Began my career at Credit Suisse and then moved over to a private equity firm called Pegasus Capital Advisors, where I actually got involved with Halo. I officially joined the Better Choice team in 2019, concurrent with Better Choice's acquisition of Halo. And I'm really excited to kind of drive forward growth and domestically and internationally, as well as really focus on some interesting opportunities in the capital market side.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. And as we sit here weeks away from the end of this year, I think top of mind for a lot of investors is the Halo Elevate launch in 22, our relationship or partnership rather with Pet Supplies Plus. Donald, how do you kind of think about, a lot of those things happening in, a relatively short amount of time in the new year?
Yeah, there's no doubt I'm extremely excited about the launch of Halo Elevate. In my 30 years of pet specialty, I have never had a product that is this unique and different. Our go-to-market strategy is partner with brick and mortar stores. We want to gain active recommendation. So we're launching with Pet Supplies Plus and Petco in February and some of their early store resets. Our goal is to have the national distribution in all Pet Supplies Plus stores starting in May, and then also in Petco in July. Our original forecast was distribution in 1,500 stores, but we now have agreements with independent stores like National Pet and Riva Ranch to launch in February. So now we look at our new target for goals and distribution to take from 1,500, what we talked about originally, now to over 2,000 stores in 2022.
That's great. And couldn't help but touch on your experience, as you alluded to, in all your years of being in this space. How do you think about Halo Elevate, and what's different about this product versus some of the others that are in the market today, and what you've seen throughout your career?
Well, that's what makes me extremely excited. So I may get a little loud here, so I apologize to everyone, but I'll tell you what, this is a product that's never been invented in pet specialty. I've never seen anything with so many bullets, so many uniqueness of it that is absolutely different. We see a lot of products that get launched that make a lot of marketing claims. They claim to be able to do this. We went with a completely different approach. We started out with a foundation of saying, how do we make a food that's unique and different? We want to make sure we start being all natural, but we want to use science-based nutrition for optimal health. That was our recipe for success. So we said to ourselves, what is every pet parent looking for? Well, we want to provide leading nutrition. And we want to provide really what I call is the 5 most important health needs for a dog. Everyone who has a pet knows about digestive health, heart and immunity support, a healthy skin and coat, hip and joint support, and strength and energy. The reality is, when you look at so many pet foods today, they do some things great, but they don't do everything great. There's a lot of gaps out there. That's why supplement sales continue to grow year after year. Why do supplements grow? Because at the end of the day, there's not enough nutrients in the food for the pets, so they need to subsidize their diets. Our goal is, again, you should not need to do that when you're feeding a recipe that can really transform the health of a pet. So again, like I say, Walter, I get very excited. We're so close now to the launching. We're launching 14 recipes of Elevate healthy grains and grain-free recipes. The uniqueness of our foods is, doesn't matter where you're feeding a healthy grain or grain-free, the recipes are very consistent. So it allows you to free rotational diets. Every pet is a little bit different. Some has more digestive issues, some don't. So I always say be careful when you transfer, again, a diet from one pet to a new diet. But all of our recipes start with the foundation that they're 30% protein. That's really important. And of that 30% protein, 90% of the protein comes from real animal sources, compared to our competitors use a lot of plant-based protein. The difference for that is we know for a fact that animal protein is higher digestible values than plant protein. That means for the pet parent, less poop in the backyard. Our recipes support skin and coat. You should not have to add a supplement to get a great skin and coat. Our foods are formulated with a perfect balance of 4-to-1 omega-6 and 3s for some of the highest levels of omega-6 and 3 in the entire industry. And then all of our recipes are formulated for hip and joint support. So we start again at the very beginning with the foundations. How do we develop this food? We started with our veterinarian and nutrition experts to provide optimal health for the pet. And we're going to do something that's very different in our industry. We provide full ingredient and recipe transparency. We believe in transparency. We share information like nobody else in our space has. If you ask a competitor, in your top 10 ingredients, what percent of that is the entire recipe? No, nobody knows. We're going to print it on the bag. Our top 10 ingredients can be anywhere from 84 to 97% of the total recipe. No one in our category is sharing this type of information with pet parents. And again, we're very proud of the fact we never use ground yellow corn. We don't use wheat, soy, lentil, peas, or poultry byproducts in our recipes. We want to make sure, again, that we provide something that's a unique benefit and really transforms the health of a pet. And again, all of our healthy grains and grain-free recipes are cooked right in the USA with the world's finest ingredients.
And Charlotte, I imagine heading into new product launch, getting into Pet Supplies Plus, there's a marketing effort. And so how does the company think about, the marketing, what we've done historically, and preparing for the launch of those products and new distribution? How do we think about marketing in the new year?
That's a great question. We are so excited to unveil our new marketing campaign. Like Donald said, our food is unique and different. I think our consumers will find the same in our marketing approach. In addition to bringing on highly skilled and experienced talent in-house earlier this year, we've also partnered with top-tier agencies to help bring our vision to life. And I don't want to give too much away, but what I can tell you is that our new creative campaign will be differentiated. insight driven, and it really focuses on the joy that our furry family members bring to our everyday lives. I think this will really resonate with our consumer. We're also extremely excited to share the unique look and feel of our packaging for Halo Elevate in early 2022. Donald just mentioned the transparency that's going to be right on the package. And later in the year, completely redesigned Halo Holistic product and packaging. It is so unique and different. Again, will really resonate with consumers. We really believe that both of these super premium product lines are going to resonate strongly with our core millennial consumer. And not only that, they're going to stand out from the crowd.
Great. I appreciate that. And Rob, you know, this has been your baby, the growth in international. We'd have to touch on that. And we're coming off, you know, Singles Day. So I'd love to learn more about the growth in China and what you're seeing there.
Yeah, thanks, Walter. I mean, we've been incredibly excited about the results that we're seeing in Asia. You know, what Donald and Charlotte just talked about is really our focus in driving sales domestically. But when we drive sales domestically, there is a knock-on effect in Asia. So, you know, when we talk about Asia, remember that's China, Korea, Japan. You know, we're expanding into Australia and Latin America next year to represent our international budget, our international portfolio. But what's incredibly exciting is, you know, Singles Day, which is November 11th, or the largest online retail event in the world, just happened in China. And the results that we're seeing, you know, are really, really exciting. So our end consumer sales, which is, you know, purchasers by Chinese consumers of Halo product on, let's say, Tmall.com, for example, are up about 400%. So relative to last year. So what we're seeing is a tremendous amount of pull through and purchasing by the Chinese consumer. Just to put that into context, you know, Chinese consumers purchased in a 2-week period roughly $2.6 million of Halo product. So there's a tremendous amount of demand for our product. When you think about that relative to our core international competition, and these are some of the biggest brands in the world, we're actually number 6 in cat diets in China. So that's all publicly available information, actually. You just got to know where to look. But we're incredibly excited about those results. And I think what that means is we're going to definitely meet the contracted volumes that we've put in and sort of disclose, and hopefully we're going to be exceeding them as we continue to grow.
And Rob, how's your marketing approach in Asia versus the US? How do you kind of think about that, and how does that play a role in the growth that you've seen internationally?
Yeah, so I think when you think about marketing in China and in Asia, what we're doing is not too dissimilar to the United States. We're being very, very sort of tactical and really engaging with millennial women online. You know, about sort of 80%, 90% of our sales are online. We've got a really, really loyal following. We actually recently brought on an influencer. He's the #1 male model in China. His name is Lei Zhao. We ran a campaign with him, really didn't cost us that much, and we generated 55 million impressions. When you think about that on a comparative basis, it was the same sort of pickup as like Dior's Fashion Week actually in China. So, you know, there's a lot of different things that we're doing that are incredibly innovative, and I think the competition just isn't as sort of plugged into the Chinese marketplace.
Interesting. And another key topic, I call it headline news from a macro level and then specific to Better Choice, supply chain. Everybody's hearing about it and reading about it. Certainly in the CPG space, it's top of mind. Charlotte, I love your thoughts. You know, macro, what are your thoughts heading into the new year? And then specifically, you know, how does that relate to Better Choice and maybe some of the adjustments that are happening at the operational level?
Sorry, with mute. Definitely, that's a great question, Walter. And as you say, top of mind for us as well as so many people in the industry. You know, we mentioned our third quarter call that was like our peers and really any industry. We too the impact of supply chain challenges. To an extent, we have by shortages on certain key ingredients like dry egg, potato protein. But the biggest impact we felt this year has been with production delays on our canned wet products. We estimate that had about a $1.5 to $2 million impact to revenue for the first 9 months. We do expect wet production to return to normal capacity by the end of Q2. But additionally, strategically, we've onboarded a couple of new co-manufacturers. This will redundancy and incremental capacity in 2022. And lastly, I'll add that we've already secured production for Halo Elevate Wet, and we already have inventory produced on that. So we've been very proactive in addressing this and feel comfortable for 2022.
Great. And I'd love to, we have a great audience logged on. Please submit your questions in the Q&A chat. We'll be able to get to them. But as we conclude kind of the questions that I had prepared, Rob, how do you think about, we touched a little bit next year, Pet Supplies Plus, new product launches, long-term goals. How should investors think about that?
Yeah, I think so. When we raised $40 million back in June, July of this year, we put out this $100 million gross sales by 2023 figure. We're definitely reiterating that figure. I think everything that we've got going on with Donald in terms of the launch at Petco and Pet Supplies Plus, as well as some other independent distributors, supports that. Our international growth certainly supports that. We didn't really talk about e-commerce and direct consumer, but there's a whole strategy there that we're executing on. And, we're incredibly optimistic about our ability to achieve that $100 million target. And also, I think it's important to note that that's an organic growth target. We're also in the process of looking at, various M&A opportunities and seeing if they fit within our Better Choice platform and portfolio. These would be opportunities that are, smaller in nature and, potentially would be sort of incremental treats businesses, something that we could really plug into our existing channel base and drive success. I'll be open. We're having a number of conversations here. We're excited about potential developments, and maybe we can pull something off here in the near future. But with that, I wanted to thank everyone for kind of listening to our prepared questions, and I'll turn it over to Walter and the audience for more Q&A.
Yeah, please submit your questions in the Q&A box. We have a bunch coming in. First one's a great question. As you're launching Halo Elevate in the new year, what kind of feedback are you getting from the retailers as you go through the sales cycle and introduce the new product? Any quick feedback that you could give us?
Yeah, I'll definitely take that one. I think that's what makes me so excited to start with this. Let's face it, in 30 years, I have a lot of relationships with a lot of retailers. But at the end of the day, walking in the door just because you're a friend of someone doesn't mean anything. The store resets are extremely challenging and very, very costly. So what I've been so proud about this is, like I said at the very beginning, we use building blocks that were unique and different. When Scott and I sat down and talked in January about what we wanted to be, he said to me, Don, if you had a chance to do things over in your career, what would it be? And I always go back to product. I've been with great companies over there that we started with great products, but over the years, there were changes always made to the recipe. And Scott's vision was very unique and different than that. He said, how do we make sure we go forward? Whatever we start with the base, we innovate on top of it. We make it different every time to tell a story. Because at the end of the day, that's the story we're telling for the pet parent. They want to feed the very best. So the feedback so far from whether it's been Pet Supplies Plus or it's been Petco, Nashville Pet Ariba Ranch has been, wow, I've never seen a product like this. Are you sure you can do everything that you're telling us you can? And we're saying, yes, we can. We pay a premium for it. We're very, very purposeful on every ingredient that we choose for a reason. That's why I just tell everybody, and it's also about the processing. All of us today could take all the ingredients to bake a cake, yet out of us, it probably won't have the same cake at the end of the day. It depends upon moisture, temperature, ingredients. That's exactly what we're doing to make this recipe. We know it the first time when they feed it, it's got to be palatable. And the pet's got to accept it. And the pet parent then has got to see the expectations and the change of the pet over time. And that's why, again, right now we feel we've done something that no one in our industry has done. And that's truly make an innovative pet food that I think absolutely will change pet specialty.
This is a good question. So how do you all think about, we talked about more kind of the marketing strategy as a whole, but at the store level, how do you interact with the retailer, and is there a uniqueness to that marketing strategy? When the consumer does walk in the store, how do you think about that marketing strategy?
Yeah, again, for us is we want to make sure the messages just stand out on shelf, right? Because there's a lot of clutter in the store. So the first thing we provide, which is very unique in our industry, is to store associates is education. We've already made training videos. In our videos, we tell the retailer, the associate, or again, that are in those stores is why is Elevate different? We get into a nutritional profile. Now we try not to, let's face it, get too far into the weeds. We really break down the simple things that every pet's going to look for. That's again, palatability, digestibility, skin and coat. We want them to make sure they see the experience. By our channel strategy, our retailer partners are very excited. They know what they grow stays in there. It doesn't get put online. It doesn't get discounted for 50% off. They don't lose gross margins. So we provide a tremendous value to them in a gross margin. And then again, with exclusive product through exclusive channel that really allows them to get out in front of the consumer and talk about the food. We also believe in feeding the pet associates. The best way I'm going to tell you about Elevate is feed a bag, right? It's money back guarantee. And again, I don't try to give away a 3-pound bag. That's only going to tell you, pal, buy a big bag today, take it home, pour it in the bowl. Watch your pet pick out our food. Watch your pet spit out what he's currently eating. And then now all we do is sit back, relax, and watch the transformation in your dog.
Rob, you have an incredible team. The three of you are incredibly experienced and talented, but you have a deep bench, right? And so a lot of investors are curious, who else is part of the team and the board, and how do you kind of think about all the skill sets and experiences that you guys have as resources?
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a great question, Walter. And I think, obviously Scott's a fantastic CEO. I think he's out at a conference in Salt Lake today, so he couldn't join us on the webinar, but he trusted us to go do this on our own. So that was a good testament of faith from him. But I think the rest of the leadership team, really is phenomenal as well. Jenny Condon heads up our e-commerce platform. She's been working in e-commerce and pet for a long time, has built, $100 million business with Donald at Merrick. Ryan Wilson is fantastic as well. He runs our marketing efforts. Again, an ex Nestle Merrick, pet expert, but, has a variety of experience as well. And I think, Alex Warnos as well. Charlotte talked about the supply chain, huge kudos to him in terms of what he's been able to do this year in terms of being able to get product, get it at the right price and the right margin and really build out 2022. It's been a real secret weapon for us as we think about, what made us successful was, I think navigating the supply chain for a company of our size in this environment is not easy, but we've done a great job. And then I think the next layer down, right, there's a ton of talent that's incredibly, I think important to our ability to drive success. We've got brand managers from Mars. We've got, folks that are running our direct consumer operation that were at Crate and Barrel for a number of years, really working on that online and offline strategy. Folks in innovation that joined us from Coca-Cola. There's a ton of talent that's just sitting in our organization. Our finance team is fantastic. I actually think back in my private equity days, this is probably the best finance team I've ever worked with from a company of our size. So that's exciting. I think just around the board. And then I think lastly, I also want to mention David Miller, who works with me on international. He was over in the United States this week, had the chance to meet with some of our research analysts. And, David brings 30 plus years of experience in the international markets, has navigated a ton of different relationships. I think is, again, another thing, as Scott likes to say, a bit of a force multiplier when you think about our talent and organization.
Great. And this question is specific to the company's buyback, which the company has used historically, but I couldn't help but ask to highlight, current cap structure, balance sheet. Insiders have continued to support the company by investing in the company. And as I mentioned, this one's related to the buyback, but the company has used the buyback. Clearly the company and insiders believe that the company is undervalued. So love your thoughts, Rob, kind of where we were and where we are today is a much different story today.
Yeah, totally. I think the big part of the story this year was cleaning up our balance sheet and raising a lot of capital to go and execute on this plan that we've put in place. I think when you think about where we sit from a capitalization perspective, right around 30 million, north of $30 million in cash. When you look at our share count, I mean, that's over $1 per share of cash in value. So, I think there's obviously a floor there. There's a little bit of debt on the company at LIBOR plus 250, about $10 million. Most of that's a revolving credit facility that we have with the bank that, we've worked with in the past. But other than that, it's common shares. That's our cap structure, about 29 million common shares outstanding. We PR'd before the last window that we bought back, I think about $1.3 million in stock. We've been, we'll be opportunistic. We bought that back at 360. I think we're down at 340 right now, I want to say, not entirely sure. But I think we all recognize this is a great spot for us to participate, and that obviously translates to the company. I guess I bought 20,000 shares yesterday, so I'm excited about the story here, and I'm putting my money behind Donald.
And Donald, we talked a lot about Halo. We're getting some questions about TrueDog. How do you think about the TrueDog brand?
TrueDog, again, direct consumer is a phenomenal brand as well. It really, again, talks again about the uniqueness of that product, the direct to consumer that is looking for something that's different. And again, with that freeze-dried product, it is a very unique feature and function, right? That provides the freshness for the pet. Let's face it, without the challenges of raw. Raw is always a challenge with salmonella. When you get into a TrueDog product, you're getting all the benefits with none of the risk.
If anyone has any other questions, and here's a great one. What kind of pets do you all have? This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Rob has a cat, yeah?
Yes.
I've got a cat named Chovy. She's a tuxedo cat. I think she's hiding right now, but normally she's walking across the computer this time of day.
Yes, I have two senior Yorkies who absolutely love our products. I feed them faithfully. So those are my fur babies.
And I have the large dog, the yellow lab. So poop to me is very important in the backyard. I'm the guy out there, whether you're my neighbor and you're walking your dog, I'm looking to say, hey, let me help you today. Let me tell you a little bit again about Halo Elevate and how I can make a change in your life and your pet's life.
That's great. So on that note, I think we're just out of time. Any last comments from the team?
No, I'm just, again, extremely excited about the opportunity. I know our food gets produced starting next week. Again, we just did some of the resets in some of the stores to set pogs. It's just the product absolutely stands out on shelf. I'm extremely proud of what Ryan Wilson and the team have done to let us know that it's a new brand, it's different. It's how the education going forward, where it's on the front of the bag, it's different than anything in the industry. We tell our story on the front of the bag, not on the side gusset in a 4 font. We're screaming out why we're unique and why we're different.
Great. And with that, I just want to thank everyone for listening in today. This is the first of many that we hope to do with you all. If we didn't answer a question, you're curious about something else, please visit the investor relations section of our website. Our contact information is at the bottom of our press releases. Charlotte, Donald, Rob, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.